So you've finally decided you're ready to get out and go look at some homes and house shop here on Cape Cod. Whether you're going with an agent or not, there are certain things that you really should be looking for to help make sure that you have a good home buying process. There are things that seem obvious but maybe aren't, and there are other things that will save you a lot of money down the road. I always advise looking at houses with an agent, but sometimes it's not practical. Maybe your schedule's not lining up, maybe you're not ready to hire an agent yet, but you should at least be informed when looking at something that costs so much money. So let me share with you some of the things that I look for when I'm touring homes with buyers, things that I'll point out and things that you should be looking for too as you go around and search for the right house. So the first one that I want you to look for is location. You can change a lot of things about a house, but you can't change where it's located. So when I say location, I mean how close is it to the beach? Are you in a neighborhood that's tight and right up against other houses, or do you have more space? Are you in a flood zone and maybe you need to consider that you'll be paying for flood insurance or potentially having water issues? Are you near, say you're looking for a certain type of beach, whether that's a lake or a pond, the north side, bayside beaches, or the south side beaches? All of that matters. And you also want to look at pockets of different towns. Do you care about being in a downtown area that's walkable for you? Do you not mind driving? But also location in terms of distance to things. For your lifestyle, when you buy a home, it really impacts where you are when you're thinking about what grocery stores will I be shopping at, how quickly can I get to the hospital. So for example, if you buy a house in Yarmouth, you may be 15 minutes from Cape Cod Hospital, or an hour and a half or 2 hours from major Boston hospitals. If you buy in Truro, Wellfleet, P-Town, you could be an hour from the hospital without traffic to get from P-Town to Hyannis. So those things are important when you're buying. So location, I think, is the most important thing to look for. Make sure when you're driving around looking at houses, you're really considering what that area is like. Neighbors are important. So this is one of those things that you really can't control, but you want to keep an eye out for. So I've had people that turn down a house because there was a rooster next door. It's great to have different animals and things, but if there's a barking dog, if there's a rooster, if there are chickens and things that might bother you when you wake up in the morning or might impact your daily life, maybe that's not the right house for you. I've also had people say the neighbor looks like a hoarder, their yard looks like a junkyard, and that could bring down the value of my home, and they weren't up for that, so they decided not to buy that house. So look around the neighborhood, maybe take a walk, or drive around. They keep up with their houses. All of those things can impact the value of your house and your quality of life. Of course, you won't always know everything about the neighbors, but you can get a pretty good sense from driving around. Look for what does your commute look like. So if you have work, school, church, or libraries you want to go to, certain things that you know are important for your day-to-day life, or things that really matter, like being able to get to an airport, commutes, anything, make sure you take a look at that. And especially here on Cape Cod, don't just look in, say, December, when things are a lot calmer and quieter here. You need to know what that looks like in June, July, and August when there's major traffic, and make sure that your commute, no matter where you're going, is something that you're okay with. So one of the beautiful things about Cape Cod is that tax rates tend to be lower than a lot of towns off Cape. People really appreciate that, but you want to see how that will impact what you're paying. So when you're out there house shopping, ask for what's the tax rate for that particular property. So if you're in Chatham or Dennis, Chatham, for example, has a tax rate of $3.47. And Dennis is sitting at $4.29. However, if you move to somewhere like Yarmouth, you're looking just over $7. But if you move to Sandwich, you're $10.57. So you really need to know what those tax rates are. That will impact your bills long term. Other things you want to look at physically with the house are things like the foundation. Is it on a block foundation? That may impact if you had plans to build an addition. You may not be able to go up multiple levels if you're built on a block foundation compared to poured concrete. You also want to see, are there major cracks in the foundation? Sometimes that's just settling, but other times it's an indication of structural issues, which sometimes are manageable with engineers and other times are a major deal breaker and a huge expense. It really depends on the house and the location and the structure. You want to look at things like septic. So not only how old is the septic, but you also want to look into things like, where is the septic located? So for example, when we bought our house has the septic located in the front. We have the backyard that we can do all kinds of things to. But if I'm buying a vacation home and I know I want to be able to put in a pool, I need to know where the septic is, because if I have to watch out for things like conservation, lot setbacks, other things, I need to make sure there's room on the lawn and I'm not interrupting any septic pieces when I'm trying to put in a pool. So you want to know where the septic is located. That may really impact your house search. You want to look at things like the roof. Roofs can be expensive, and so you want to check into, is it 3-tab shingles, is it architectural? Those are things you can Google even if you're not super savvy on home condition and things. And you want to try to ask, have there been issues with the roof? Are there gutters on there? And what's the condition, so that you can plan ahead when you maybe want to make an offer on a house. I always look for water issues in a house, especially being near the coast. This is a major issue because you may not think that a house could have water issues if it's a couple miles in from the ocean, but there are high groundwater levels in certain neighborhoods here on the Cape that those of us agents know really well. And so you want to look, is there a sump pump in the basement? Is there rust on the support beams that are coming up in those columns in the basement? Does it smell musty? Have there been previous water issues that the seller will disclose? Those are things that I look for because that's a huge financial impact when you're buying a house. And so always look for water issues. Spend a good amount of time in the basement if they have one when you're looking at properties here on Cape Cod. You also want to look at grading. This is something you can assess by going around the yard. So does the water look like it's flowing towards the house or away from the house? That can really impact lifestyle as well, and overall costs. You want to look for if a seller has a list of updates. My favorite homes to walk through are the ones that have a list where they say what the seller has updated since they've been there. Sometimes they have dates, sometimes they have prices, sometimes they are as detailed as telling you who did the work, but a seller who can track the updates they've done oftentimes has maintained the home really well. You also want to look at storage space and flow. So when walking through the house, you may get an initial feeling like, I love this house, I have to have it. But make sure you're checking on storage space. Is there room for you to put your clothes, your seasonal items, since we're here in New England? Is there room for extra things that you need, like patio furniture, to be stored? Do you have a basement? Do you have closet space, maybe attic space? There are plenty of homes here on the Cape built on a slab or with just Cape Cod basements or crawl spaces. So if you need storage, make sure the house has a shed, a garage, something else to really accommodate what you need. And look at the flow of the house. So how well does the house flow? If you're someone with kids, one thing I like to consider is where are the bedrooms located. If you're with a newborn, you may not want to have 2 bedrooms upstairs and 1 downstairs and not really have options for your primary suite to be close to your kids. Maybe you like that those are separate. Maybe you're looking for your primary bedroom to be on one end of the house and guest bedrooms for grandkids or friends or whoever to visit on the other side. Is there good flow from the kitchen into your living space, into other areas of the home that you plan to use? Is it blocked off and choppy? Or is that something that you actually like, to have some privacy? Maybe you're seeing that the house is completely open concept and you love it. Maybe you hate that and you realize you need things to be kind of sectioned off. So all of those things matter. Everything from location of where the property is, who's in the area, what you're gonna have for lifestyle, all the way down to nitty gritty, major components, the furnace, the water heater, all those you can check during an inspection, but you should at least be looking or asking for those updates as you search. This will really impact what you pay for your house and how happy you are living there. What other things do you think are important to look for in a home search? My name's Tiffany Callahan. If you have any questions about home searching on Cape Cod, or maybe you want my help as you go out and tour homes, please don't hesitate to reach out. Drop some comments below and let me know what else you think is really important to look for in your home search.